I call this November 2nd meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission together and ask that you all rise with us and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Summer. Will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benberry?
Here.
Mr. Bradford?
Here.
Mr. Morrison?
Here.
Ms. Schramke?
Here.
Mr. Shadle?
Here.
Mr. Wade?
Here.
Chair Cresilius.
Here. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. That's great. Glad to have you all here tonight. Thank you for being here. Mr. Morrison, I believe you have the minutes motion.
Yes, ma'am. I move that the reading of the minutes for October 19th, 2015 be waived and that the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Shadle and Benberry. Any comments, corrections? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Schramke?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Chair Cresilius.
Aye. Mr. Bradford, I believe you have the City of Paducah public hearing.
I move that the resolution entitled A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Text Amendment of the Paducah Zoning Ordinance by amending Section 126-72 Homeless Shelter be adopted.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wade.
The main gist of this zoning text amendment is this originated with the City Commission. And it went to them first, and then we had to back up and bring it back to you all. So that's where it originated from. What mainly is wrong with this is that under subsection 5.3, weapons are not permitted on the premises. By KRS, it's like 65 something. I don't have it right in front of me. Yes. We can't have that verbiage in there. So we had to go back and change it to verbiage that fit the KRS. So that's what we've done by stating federal and state firearm control laws shall be strictly enforced on the premises. And the rest of it is just clean up verbiage that's kind of redundant to make it a little bit shorter in the zoning ordinance. Then after approval, it'll go back to City Commission.
Anyone have any questions about any of the changes? They seem pretty straightforward, except for that one item that you were talking about.
I got a question. So, in the past, we said no weapons are allowed, it looks like, on the premises. Now, if someone has a concealed carry permit, will they be allowed to carry? And
If it's in accordance with state and federal law, that's what's going to govern firearms within the homeless shelters and not the City of Paducah.
And I can maybe provide a little more clarification on the reason for that. That statute that he referenced is basically the state of Kentucky saying that cities can't regulate guns. There's been a lot of municipalities throughout the state that have had to change a lot of ordinances because it touches on something to do with gun regulation.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you for that input, Mr. Bradford. Any comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Schramke?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Chair Cresilius.
Aye. Ms. Schramke, you have the Falconite Hip waiver of subdivision. Sorry.
I move that this commission receive and file the application of Falconite Hip Enterprises, LLC, for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 3258-3264 Mallard Circle, I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provision of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Mr. Morrison, did you second? I'm sorry. I wasn't looking. I apologize.
It's okay.
This is a waiver plat to establish a condominium for 4 units. Site plan has already been approved. This is just dividing it up into 1,718 square foot units with a 2-car garage to be sold off individually.
There are firewalls between these units, are there not?
Dustin, anything else to add?
No, not really. I mean, it's the third building that we're putting through, and like Josh said, it's divided up into 4 units. And it's pretty straightforward.
I'm assuming that HOA fees will take care of exterior maintenance and landscaping.
I believe that's correct. Yes.
And if I understand this right, there's 2 existing buildings there now? This is
Yes.
the third one?
Yes.
And this had to come before us again, why?
To establish the condominium units inside the building itself, along the firewalls and the airspace inside.
So every time they add additional, they will come,
If they're condominium, yes.
One question with the firewalls, it go through and is a part of the foundation as well? I know it goes up to the attic as the air spacing, but is it included?
No, I believe this stops at the foundation or at the floor.
So it's one continuous crawl space?
Well, there's no crawl space. It's on slab.
I got you.
Yes, yes.
I got you.
Just below and left of the area that's marked the condominium for this that you brought before us, it says future development. Is that, it seems like there's a narrow strip right there. Is there actually a future development?
No, there's not. There's not. And that has been, on the new one, it has been revised and that's off.
Okay.
so are there any other revisions then as to?
The only other thing that we have added is they have finished the patios behind, in the back of the townhomes. So each unit now has a patio, which will be that will be part of the limited common elements.
Will there be patios added to each of these condominiums? You're talking about the condominiums that are already in place, correct, or?
Would you
Yes,
show us-
the 4 units that we're putting through, each one now has a concrete patio.
Okay, do the other ones have
Well,
patios?
the future ones,
The existing?
are the existing ones? I'm not
I mean,
sure.
there's a-
Those might be included in there, in those measurements. But I do not know that for certain.
It looks like it.
Will these be notated on the plat at any point?
I'll have to, that'll be something I'll have to check into as far as. It does look like they have sidewalks, but there's nothing that is noted as a concrete patio. So I'm thinking that they probably do not have concrete patios behind the two that's already been through.
Is there an overhang where those concrete patios are, or would we be able to see them sticking out from the building?
You'll be able to see, yeah, there's no overhangs.
I mean, I can see them on the 2 units that are around that concrete walk, that kind of common area in the middle, the 2 units that are have already been completed. I can see where those would be, I think. The 14 by 6.3.
Yeah, if that would be possibly those. But I don't know that for certain. I would think so because I wouldn't think the units would stick out, you know.
All right. Are there any other questions, comments? Go ahead.
Every time that you add a future site, is the site already developed for every, for as far as detention water and all that for each?
There was a master site plan approved for this whole development, yes.
So we don't have to go back and make sure that any other things are updated as
Right.
far as?
As far as drainage and layout and all that, that was already approved.
That was in the original plan.
Yes. But every time they come forward with a new building, it'll come to you all to establish the condominiums.
So I'm assuming the detention ponds are already completed.
Yes, they're already sized for all this development.
Anything else? Any comments? Don't know who would make them, but we ought to have interactive television. I really think that would be great. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Tramke?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Chair Cresilius?
Aye. If there is no other business to come before the commission tonight, we stand adjourned.